Hey everyone, I hope you are well and welcome to the first ever We Are Listening online event. In fact, this is the biggest one we've ever done, so thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Victoria and I'm the founder of We Are Listening and creative marketing manager of Toolroom Records. For you that might not know already, so We Are Listening is our female platform and event series to help grow, nurture and find more female talent in the industry. Today we have some amazing panels planned and I hope everyone watching this comes away feeling inspired and comes away feeling that they found the day genuinely useful and helpful.
Hey all out there, how's it going? I am Kelly Lee. It's so awesome to be part of this Toolroom Academy takeover. We Are Listening. So this panel is about featured artists and how to work with singers on records. So I've got a wicked stat here that I want to talk to you guys about. Between all the ladies coming up on the panel today, we have a combined total of 5,925,787 Spotify monthly listeners. So chances are you'll definitely be knowing the voices on this panel today. So I want to introduce you to them. Hayley May is going to join us in the room now.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah, hey. We've got Janai, who's coming in now. Bringing in Janai.
Hi.
Amazing. Karen Harding. We've got Karen Harding coming in any second. Laura Davey.
Hi.
Hey. How's it going? Rowetta is in the house.
Hello.
Amazing. Melody Men.
Hi.
A big shout out to our girl Alex Mills, who can't join us today because she's recovering at the moment from an operation. So Alex, I think you're watching. We're sending you huge love. I think we'll have Karen Harding coming in a minute, but in the meantime we're waiting for Karen. Let's go around and just for anyone watching, just to know who we are. I'm Kelly Lee. I'm an artist, singer-songwriter and a label owner. You'll know some of my voice from records for Duke Dumont, Jax Jones, James Hype, Second City, and so on. Hayley May, do you want to give us some kind of info on you?
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter too, based in London. I've been working the house scene for a little while now, and you probably know my voice mainly probably from Joel Corry's first major single, which was Sorry. So that gave me a lot of opportunities moving forward.
Amazing. And Janai, tell us about you, please.
Hi, I'm Janai. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a session vocalist. I've had releases on Defected and Ultra, Solitaire Guy. Mostly work with Sunny Federa, so that's probably where you could have heard me.
Nice. Rowetta?
I'm a singer-songwriter too. I'm most known really for Happy Mondays. I'm being sampled a lot from a tune called Reach Out back in 1989, I think I did it. It's been sampled by everyone. Most recently by Oliver Heldens on Toolroom with Rave Machine, which was brilliant. Just in a tune with Salado, which is great, and lots of other people. So yeah, I'm really pleased to be here.
Amazing. Laura?
Hello. I'm a singer-songwriter as well. I feel like I am probably the newbie to this group, but I've been officially releasing music for the last year, but I've been in the background doing lots of things for the best part of the last 10 years, probably. I am probably most known for my track with the lovely, hang on, I'm pointing that direction, the Melody Men up here and Mark Knight, that we released on Toolroom last year. Also worked with Elisa Barrientos. I've got a current single out that actually, pointing in this direction, over Rowetta, Hayley May wrote actually.
That's right, yeah.
So I feel like I'm very connected to everybody, but yeah, privileged to be on a panel with all of you amazing, incredible women.
Love that. Love that. And the Melody Men, please tell us about you.
Hi, we're the Melody Men. We are a top line and production team. You mostly know our voices from a number of things. We kind of rap, sing, mainly from
I don't rap.
Advert. Depends how much she's had to drink.
On a Friday night.
And with Toolroom, with Laura down here on This Is Love, and a few other bits and pieces on the Toolroom,
Boo Boo,
and
lots of
Defected
different people.
Yeah. And we're very happy to be here.
Yeah, and
everyone's just super talented, and
it's been a great day. We've been watching a lot. It's fantastic.
Yeah, super inspiring. Powerhouse women in the house, basically. So we'll jump in. I know Karen Harding will be joining us shortly. The first question, I quite like this question. As songwriters, how do we feel about the label featured artists? Anyone want to kick us off with that one?
I will.
Go for it, Roetta.
Because I've just recently been asking all the time, can we say and Roetta instead of featuring? Because quite often when you feature, your name gets dropped off when they're announcing. I did a tune with Jodie Harsh and it came on Radio 1. I was really happy. It's supposed to be featuring Roetta, but they don't say featuring Roetta. And it's been it's trying to be credited for these songs that you've written as well, co-written. It's really important to be credited, even more to me than being paid, to be honest, because I've not been credited all these years. And people think a lot of the time that my voice is Robin S.'s voice, and it's not Robin S., it's me on the beginning of Show Me Love. And it really, still to this day, it really gets on my nerves because I don't get work because of it that I should be getting. So now I like to say, if we do a tune, unless it's a massive, like Oliver Heldens, it was a sample, so it's featuring Roetta, that's fine. And he insisted that my name got used. He was really kind. But it's important, you know, otherwise we don't work. You know, we're not known, we're just unknown voices, and that's not fair.
Totally. I'm so glad you said that, because I've just learned something here. And obviously that is a huge, huge, huge record, and your name should be part of Show Me Love. I mean, that's a house staple.
I'm just at the beginning of it, but it's just Swedish House Mafia use it, just with my voice, not Robin S.'s. Hardwell uses it. They're all singing. My voice is coming out of these DJs' mouths, but everyone thinks it's Robin S. And it's me. And, you know, they've just, who are brilliant. They've just done a remix, and there's me on it again. And it's like, somebody should have asked me or credited me. So now if I keep telling everybody and making everybody know it's me, then, and it's working, more people are asking to work with me now because they know it's my voice. So I've had to really work for that. It's taken me years.
I think I'm really glad that you're speaking up and actually saying it's you, because that's the path that I had to take as well. And I feel like in terms of the featured artist thing and asking for a co-headline, especially if you've written the song, when you're listed as a feature, it's like you actually didn't write the things. And a lot of the time we are making these top lines for the producers and DJs. So when we actually move to the feature element, and also it's extremely important in terms of our accreditation on Spotify for the P line, making sure you're listed, you're receiving the streams, and also your PPL royalties. If you're listed as an other featured artist bracket, you might not be getting the same, or other featured artists is one thing that you want to list, but if you're just sort of moved to the side, you might not be getting the royalties that you deserve.
I get my royalties now for Show Me Love, but honestly, every time another version comes out, I have to fight for it. And it's like basically I have to prove it's me, and which bit of the song, how many seconds in, and where, and luckily now, because I've proven it so many times, but it's annoying. It's like, you know, people should ask you. It's so easy to get hold of people now. And dropping people's names off, it's not nice. And you should let us have the Spotify streams and everything else. You know, we've written the songs, a lot of them. Not Show Me Love I didn't write, but a lot of the songs I do now, I very rarely do covers or other people's songs.
I find it's been quite difficult when sometimes you may not want to be featured, that's fine, but when you do, and especially like you said, when you've written the song and then it comes to a point where the label might say, well, sorry, but this is just for our act and you can't be on it. I had a position that I was in there, and they said if you want your name to be on the song, then we're gonna have to find another top line. So they sort of back you into a corner, and you know, when you're not at a certain level in the industry, it's like you think to yourself, right, what do I do here? Do I just let it go and then potentially lose that opportunity, or do I just allow them to use it and just see what I can get from it? It's really, especially when you're sort of starting and you don't have the power there, it's really a struggle in your mind, and it is difficult. And even on like your own feeling, your personal mental health, like it's really a real internal struggle because it's very personal.
We had the same thing happen to us, you know, because we didn't really want to be artists. We just wanted to top line, and we were quite happy with that. But we were getting left out so much. People didn't know, and they were using our vocals. So it's not like we were writing a song. We were actually on the track.
Or writing a song,
we're doing both. And so it was really frustrating. And it's not really until we kind of got our manager, who's great, by the way, Steve Burton. He was really fighting for us. He really fights for us. Because there was a lot of times, you know, working in a very male-dominated industry, you can get a little bit bullied and pushed to the side. So it was really great having someone else fighting a corner for us as well, because we just want to be creative. You know, sometimes we don't want to do all of that fighting. So it was
Yeah,
great to kind of have him on our side and kind of push the boat out for us, where we're actually getting featured now and getting credited to know who we are.
I think
but
that's
with
super
Rowetta,
important.
actually, what Rowetta was saying about that, you know, when you do get a featured artist, sometimes they drop that from, when they announce it on Radio 1 or whatever, and you're just left out, which is just it's not great, especially when you've written a track and,
Todd Terry's done it to me too many times. I tell him off every time I see him. Just who do people think is singing the song? Who do people think is for the vocal? It's not Todd.
Yeah.
Todd's got a great voice, and I've had him backing vocal in for me, Todd, because I do love him. But for some reason, he just doesn't mention the singer sometimes. And and when I've written the vocal, as I say, I've seen him and I've told him off many a time now, and I love him. And he's like, God, I hope he works with me again. But if he doesn't, then it's tough titty on me, because I do say no all the time now. If they're not willing to credit me, more than being paid, if they don't want to credit me when I've written a song, I'm not doing it. I don't care if you're Tiesto or you're Hardwell. I'm not doing it if you're not going to say.
I think sometimes you just got to put your foot down,
I think this is also the issue that we experience as women in music, and why it's so important. I mean, what Hayley May said there about being told that they'll use a different top line if she asks for her name to be on the record she's written. We're not alone in experiencing this, and the thing that I really hate is that we're made to feel individualized whilst we're going through the situations, and not wanting to, push the boundaries of wondering, should we just take the cut? And I've had that experience myself in my history as well, as an artist and a singer on records, and something I've co-written. And I have done the part where I've said, okay, fine, let's leave my name off of it. And it didn't benefit me at all. We're not getting the PPL royalties. We're not getting the streaming rights. People don't know it's us because they're not mentioning us on radio, or the artists themselves are leaving us off. So us as women, we have to stand firmer and stronger as well, and say, you're not going to have a record without the vocal, because as you're not going to sing it yourself.
Totally. And I don't know whether anybody else agrees as well, but it almost, I don't know whether there's just something around the word featured, but it's like got really not negative connotations, but just like you're not quite as important. But that is from like the top down as well. Like I've been in situations now where I've not been told the release date of my single, because I found out purely from checking out Spotify artists. And then I've seen that a date has changed, or something else, or I've seen the artwork that way, and I'm like, why haven't I been given?
You're the last to know.
Your best interest. I can help you if you tell me this information, but if you don't, and then you think I'm not supporting the project, that's not on me, that's on you. But I feel like that stuff happens because of the associations of being a feature as opposed to a co-writer or
That's a great point.
I think for me, it's much bigger. It can feel like a small thing, I think, and it's very personal. For me, I don't mind being a featured artist. I'm like the one out here, but I don't necessarily mind it, but I do mind it because when it has a knock-on effect in the business end of things. So for me, like personally, I'm not too bothered whether or not it's an X or featuring Jenai, but when it comes to the back end, and if I'm getting paid for what I've produced and my ideas, that's when it really starts to like come into play. So I think it is quite important that even people starting out now think about this stuff and really like push, like you've all been saying, to like be seen as someone that is important in the process of creating a song, because it will bite you in the ass.
Definitely. I love being the featured artist with Oliver Heldens on Toolroom, because it was mentioned, and he made sure he always mentioned me, and Toolroom always mentioned me and treated me like a star. I was treated like an equal. I wasn't treated as I have been in the past, like a backing singer or a featured art, like somebody else. I was treated the same as any other singer and writer. So it's the respect that you get. But that's because the other artists, Lado, are the same. They always mention me, and that's classy. It's not, they're not greedy. It's an ego thing as well. Just share it a bit. These DJs get so many gigs, and they're losing so much money. Let us singers get some too, because I love gigging, and yet it's the DJs who get all the gigs with my songs.
Yes. Yeah. So I think talking about that, we've got another powerhouse woman in the waiting room. So Karen Harding, let's bring Karen in. Hey. Hello. Karen, do you want to say a quick hello?
Well, I've just been kind of sat backstage and watching and listening and nodding along. So it's good to be in the room with you, and I'm just happy to get chatting, because I feel like because of my internet, it's all just a bit. So yeah.
So why don't we follow on from that then into the next question? And Karen, why don't you lead us on that? How do you transition then from featured artist to artist in your own right?
I mean, it's kind of strange for me, because my first single wasn't a feature, and I kind of just came on as Karen Hardin. But it's funny, because a lot of people at the time were thinking, so who did the track for Karen? Is that a feature? Was that her single? Oh, like people still ask us now, was that actually your song? And I'm like, yes, it was. Like, why does it always have to be someone else's song and like I'm the second one? But fortunately, I was in that position where I was the lead, and from that point on, doing features, I've always kind of just tried to just make sure that I'm confident that I love a song enough for it to be associated with me in any way, whether it's a collaboration or whether it's a feature and things like that. I just want to make sure that I love it and that I can give it the equal thing, especially what Laura was saying before, the whole feature thing of like, it's to kind of look down upon in some strange way. So for me, I think it's just picking the right times and schedules and stuff for releases, that I feel comfortable and confident that I can give the song as much as I can, whether it's a feature, whether it's a collaboration, whether it's my own song.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I mean, for me, transitioning from featured artist to artist in my own right, it was self-investment, and as what we were just talking about as well, as the power of saying no, and actually having the confidence to go, if I'm continuing on this path of just saying yes to this feature and hopefully they're going to make sure they list me correctly or they mention me, and actually going, no, I'm going to actually release some of my own music. That's why I set up my own label in 2018, so I could be respected and seen as an artist myself. And that took, it was a lot of dig deep moments, and I'm sure a lot of us on this panel in this room have been made to feel so low from stuff that we've actually sung and contributed to, and should be something that we should celebrate and feel, elated by, and actually been made to feel so small. So I feel like for us to turn that title around is to see ourselves as artists in the first instance, so that when we're going into those discussions or writing those songs, straight away we're coming with a point of backbone of going, we're artists as well. So this is exactly what Karen said. I'm only going to sing on something that I personally love, that I want to be associated with. I can write you the song, someone else can feature on it if it's not right for me. Just having that energy for ourselves that we sometimes get made as women in music to be sort of pushed to the side.
It's a lot easier now, though. I mean, years ago when I was getting sampled in 1990, there was we didn't even have mobile phones. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have anything. There was no way of shouting. I'd go in a club and say, that sounds like me. And then go to the DJ and say, what record is it? It sounds like me. And it would be a vinyl. And there's nobody, you can't ring anyone. There was nothing you could do. You couldn't set up your own label. You couldn't get your name heard. There was not a lot I could do for about 30 years. And now it's amazing for all the young girls out there. You're so lucky you've got all these opportunities, because we didn't have them. But I think, now that's the only way I've been able to spread my name now, because I couldn't before. I would literally just be shouting, that's me, everywhere. And that's all you can do, buy a t-shirt and go, me on that one.
So if a producer then wants to work with us and wants to have a featured artist on their record, how do they go about it? For the producers watching, what can we give them as advice?
Well, the great thing about social media is you've got the contact tab, which is just great. So even for artists, I'd always say update that, make sure that the email's good and there's an opportunity for them to reach out. For us, we do everything via our manager. So, and to not try and cut corners, because, sometimes they just try to contact you and try to do the business with us directly.
Yeah.
And it's cool if you know someone, do you know what I mean? But we always try to do the business side properly via our manager, because it protects us as well. Because they might come with a deal that's really crap and it's not really for us, but he can be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And we can kind of, maintain.
And also, we want to. We're creatives. We don't want to be dealing. We all need to deal with the paperwork. I know that, but I'm not very good at it. Okay, I know about it. I don't want to know about it because I want to create. So let's leave the paperwork, if you can get a manager, to a manager.
Yeah.
Or if you can get a lawyer or someone to help out that you know, a friend that's in that mindset, you know. I think you know, you always need to check everything out that you get offered as well.
I think
it's a great way for producers and DJs to contact singers and writers. We get loads of inquiries on our Instagram Melody Men thing, which Di deals with because I hate doing it.
I think what a huge thing is that not to be scared to approach people as well, because all of us are doing it. Like, I'm doing it to whoever, you know, everyone's sliding in each other's DMs, and also that to not worry about rejection of like someone, you know, someone saying I love it but it's not for me, like this whole featured thing, you know. Or if you know, if you've written something, if someone's written something over your beat, for example, everyone's loving it, but as the artist they're not feeling it, don't be like, that's not a bad thing, because we're all still on the song, we'll love it all. But, like some, you know, with schedules, like I said before, whatever, it might not be right at that right time. So don't be disheartened if someone's like, I love the song, I'm going to write on it, I want to do something with it, but I can't like give you all of me for it. Then, you know, just don't be disheartened by it, and just reach out and just continue to reach out, like you guys just said.
And this has been the best time during lockdown because nobody's touring. I'm working with people that I would never have worked with before, I'm sure, because you, like me and Salado, we said, yeah, we'll work together. You say it, but everybody's too busy. And then now everybody's just seriously, I've been like, really? They want to work with me? Because it's so easy to contact people now with Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever way. It's really, really easy. And I don't have a manager because I've never met the right manager for me. So I have to do it all myself. And it's hard sometimes, but during this lockdown, I've really, really learned a lot. And I've done really well. Just no gigs because we can't gig, but working with people has been amazing because they're not away. It's been just take advantage and get in touch with anyone you want to work with at the moment, whether you're a singer or a producer, because this is the time you should be most creative right now.
But have etiquette, like be able to write and like research me a little bit, big me up, make me feel sweet. Do you know what I mean?
True.
Like, do it properly. Don't just be like, here, I wrote a song. Can you sing on it?
Exactly.
The one guy.
And there might be session fees involved in that as well. Like, it depends on the project. But I mean, if it's something that I think is going to be really great for me, then I might not necessarily charge a session fee. But if it's somebody just wants a top line, it's not a feature / me, and they want a hook or something like that, I'm like, okay, cool, but that's going to take this amount of my time, so it's going to cost this much. So you might have to be prepared as well as a producer that you're sometimes, especially for, I mean, not necessarily maybe little old me, but for a bigger, well-known featured artist, you might have to pay for their skills, just like you would be expected to pay if somebody asked you to create a song for you.
You're asking us for a reason. We have skills that you need, so be prepared to pay for that. You would do any
you know what, I agree so much with what Laura was saying about just having even a small budget to play with. You know, if you're, I don't know, if the beat is, you know, great and we believe in it, you know, we're willing to work with some budgets. But if you just want nothing, you don't want to pay anything, it just makes it kind of belittles what I think it does doing.
You know, I mean, you would walk into an art shop and take a painting off of the wall and say thank you very much. So you know, you've got to I mean, we edit our vocals as well, so we make them all lovely for them and beautiful, and there you go, here you go, stick that on your track, and that's basically what they do. So it's okay to ask for a fee for your time and your skills.
I think what's really important for any producers watching as well, let's say you've managed to contact the singer you want to work with or the artist you want to work with, they've written you a top line. That does not mean you could then go and sign that song to any label you choose without discussing with the singer with their management or with the artist, their percentages, their fees, etc. first. And I've been in that situation before where a big artist has signed a song to a major label without my permission and then didn't have budget to pay me. And those are very bad situations to get into, because actually what you're doing is extremely disrespectful. If you're not the sole creator of a record, before you can sign the record to anyone, you need to have permission from everyone involved in that writer, from the songwriters, the featured artists. So just make sure that you're on top of that, because that creates a world of difficulties.
It's criminal, really. It's criminal, and they've been getting away with it for far too long, and it's just really taking advantage of us. Sorry.
No, sorry, that was me. If a producer came to me having already thought about all of that, which happens very rarely, I'm in mostly, because I understand. Do you know what I mean? I understand that you're coming with some care and respect. So, like, if anything comes out of this, come at us with some plans and percentages.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So we know what we're getting into, and I'll personally be in. You can hire me.
Yeah, and be willing to haggle as well, because fair enough, they may not know the business, but if you give if we're presenting our terms, this is the percentage and this is the fee, then be willing to compromise with that as well, and put your hands up. If you don't know, you don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's fine. We're experienced enough to help, but just drop the ego and don't just expect.
If they've got no money and they're just beginning and they're really good, though, I wouldn't charge a fee. I write with them. I make sure I do the writing of it, but I very rarely charge a fee. Anyway, usually the bigger acts, they offer a fee before I even mention fees. But yeah, normally it's all about the music. If you love the tune, I want to do the tune. But I want to be a writer on it. But I want to do it. If I love a tune, I don't care if I don't get paid. If it's a hit, you get money. That's the way I look at it. As long as you get a good deal.
I think we should be just a little bit careful with just not saying we wouldn't charge fees. I think, again, it just depends on the situation, because if
I'm only talking about me. I'm only saying about me. That's
no, for you, for all of us, just in case, because that producer might not have any money, but if they sign it to a label who has got a fee, singers should have got free. But then going back to
case by case, I guess. Case by case.
I'm just rubbish. I don't have a manager, and I'm I'm really bad at that. That's why I will never be a billionaire. Because I just
well, and you learn that you don't have to work for free. But going back to Rowetta, so if a producer then wants to sample, say they've got an existing track and they want to sample a vocal, what is the etiquette of sampling then, seeing as you've been sampled so many times?
Well, first of all, you should ask, like Oliver Heldens sampled me last year for Toolroom. They'd already got the record together and he'd already been playing it. But he didn't know who owned the vocal. There's a lot of people say they own that vocal. Steve Angelo and Laid Back Luke say they own it. They don't. I do. But they don't know who, so they don't ask. And then when it comes to it, because it was a big label like Toolroom, and they had to ask who owns that vocal. Who do we need to do a deal with and get permission? But for years, I was never asked permission. And then I also want to be credited if you use a sample. I want my name on it. I don't want people thinking it's somebody else's voice. Cheryl Cole went on the Brit Awards with my voice and she said, can I use it? And I said, no. And they used it anyway and had my voice coming out of some other woman's mouth. It's just wrong. It's the disrespect. I can't bear it. I'll get the money eventually through PPL and PRS, but I shouldn't have to go that route. It should be credited. Yes,
totally agree. I mean, I've got a couple of questions here which are quite important. Someone said, what's PPL? We've mentioned that a couple of times. So there's a couple of royalties places. PRS is for songwriting. PPL is public performance license. And it basically means anytime your song is played on radio or TV, anywhere, you get a royalty for the recording being played. So the songs that you've sung, you'll get a percentage based on if you are featured and your name's listed or if you're not. So you'll get more royalties if your name is listed on the record than if your name isn't on the record. And that's very important to know, because that's something I only learned in the recent history of the tracks that I've been on.
Which is why they don't mention people, because they get more money if you don't get paid. And there's times when they've tried to stop me getting my money on Show Me Love on certain mixes, and I've got it eventually, and it's so they can have more. How much money do they want? How much money do people need? Just let me have my share, because I don't get the proper share because I'm not credited. But it's really, really pissing me off. They're still doing it. Stop it.
Agree.
Yeah. I actually had to have that conversation last week. I rang PPL and spoke to a lovely guy. I think his name was Liam. He was Irish. I bugged him for about half an hour on their call lines, but because I was trying to register a track to and claim it under my name, under my membership, and I wasn't listed as one of the artists on there. And so I rang them because I was like, like you say, maybe there's a reason why your name has been left off there. You don't know. So let me not go through the label. Let me not go to an admin somewhere else. If I can just call somebody. And as soon as you become a member of something like PPL, PRS, MCPS as well, they're there for you. So take advantage of it. Give them their call lines a call, and they can help you. But yeah, I got my email yesterday, so I've now been added to that track. So
Yeah,
I just spent so much
amazing.
of lockdown adding myself to tunes, things like DJ Zinc. There's a jungle tune. It's just like, I'm like, that's my voice, because it's so easy now with social media and being on, because I couldn't do it before, and people will spot my voice and tell me. So I just put a claim in for everything that I'm on now. Find out how many seconds I'm in it, how much of my voice they've used, and I put my claim in. I'm just on it now. I've done it all through lockdown, and I get a nice big check at the end of it. So keep sampling me then.
Go on, lads. I mean,
Go on.
love it. Rowetta's bringing the energy today. For those that are still confused a bit about PPL, and especially for singers, I've actually got something coming with the Musicians Union and the FAC, the Featured Artists Coalition. And for any artists, I really recommend you joining the Featured Artists Coalition. It's the Artists Union, the artist organisation. It's like the Music Management Forum, which is for managers. The FAC is for artists. And so I've got something coming end of April, beginning of May, which will be sort of 10-point plan layout for singers who may not have managers, who might need to know when they're going into a session to distinguish whether they're a featured artist or if they're a session singer, and making sure they're getting credited. And that will be out there so that hopefully we can start avoiding these situations where we get a little bit screwed over. So I've got a couple more questions. Hayley May, we haven't heard from you for a bit. So what would you say is the best way sorry, I've read this wrong. How's it working? If the producer writes the lyrics and melodies and vocals, like, how do you feel about being featured again with your name on the record? And, if you've written it, do you want to stay featured? Just explain a bit more about that.
So, meaning if it's been written for you, would I want to stay on it, do you mean?
Yeah, if the producer's done a lot of the work and you're just singing it, would you want to have your name on it? How would you?
Do you know, that's happened recently. It's been a case where that has sort of come up quite a lot, and I guess because you want to be recognised an artist as a package, I feel like it is quite important to get accredited for the writing as well. I do find it a bit sad when I can't be the writer and the vocalist, but I don't mind, because I do love singing. A lot of people, they love writing, which I do love, but I also love being the vocalist. So I guess it just depends, like Karen was saying earlier, if you love the song, it really comes down to that. And if you're going to get behind it when it gets played, you're confident to tell people this is my song, because if you're going to be featured on it and you're singing it, I suppose you want people to know that represents you as well. So it don't bother me too much, but again, I have always written my own stuff, and it's only been relatively recently for me that I've written with people. So I've been so used to writing on my own that you want to give yourself to the song. So for me not to have written it, I write it in a style that's good, suits me, and I can't help that. It's been so many years I've been writing to suit my own style. So it really is just a balance. I'm not sure. It depends on the circumstance. It depends who it is. It depends whether I'm able to potentially change some lyric or just some melody that suit me better, if people are open to that, which sometimes they're not, sometimes they are. So yeah, I think it depends on the song, to be honest. But I'm not definitely against it.
So it's sort of like coming back to that nail on the head. It's like case by case situation, but that communication and that respect to really, before the record goes anywhere, to like discuss these things together. Do you want to be featured? Do we need somebody else to sing this record? Am I writing some extra parts on it? Am I not? So it's all about communication, and you'd think that would be quite obvious, but in music that sort of gets left behind a lot. The communication sort of goes out the window. So.
Yeah, and it does kind of feel like, especially being female as well, I don't know about anyone else, but it feels like sometimes when you say no, it's like you're trying to cause a problem. You're trying to halt the record. You're the problem here. And it's like you don't have the right to say no, and you feel like you've got to tiptoe around everyone and be like, oh, I'm really sorry, but. Whereas if they don't want you on it, they're saying you're off and that's it. That's sorry, we'll find someone else if you don't want to be on. It's just it feels like a female particular and the singer, even though the singer is crucial, so crucial. I felt like before,
it's not even my voice, and it don't even matter what my voice is. Anyone could have sang it. That's how they make it feel sometimes. Anyone could have sang it. You're not important, and it's not that. It really is not that. So
It's not that at all.
no.
And I hate that you've been made to feel like that as well. Because it's so disgusting, because actually that is the reason why they came to you in the first place, is because
Exactly.
the voice has magic to it, and your voice has proved that with the hits that you've sung. So I just think, again, it's just rooted in us being able to stand firm and say no. It's like, okay, you don't want to put my name on it, you find someone else, please find someone else. Good luck with that. And you just don't need that energy, because it will just continuously make you feel shit when you hear your voice on someone's record, when your name is there and you got disrespected. So it's not worth it. I think we've got to be proud of who we are. And, you know, men get to do that. Men get to boss their situation. So I feel like that's the way we have to be. And we could be listed as divas or bitches or
100%.
whatever they want to call us.
It's
But
such a common thread within women in music. It's such a common thing that you hear time and time again.
Yeah.
About just kind of being shut out, shut down.
It was really clear, actually, really clear. I mean, if you love it on Summer's Day, you can do a thing, they do like a 2.5 hour thing, start
part of the creative process. These guys
Fordham,
would be
whatever
able
it's
to
called, and you do a 2.5 hour down the stream, and then there's a club there, you have lunch there, and then they come and pick you up and take you back.
When you were singing the book.
No
way. After I was obviously, this was after I found out that the date had changed for a single release, which obviously it affects me as well. Like, I can't remember who was saying it, but I think it might have been Rowetta. Obviously, we've been in lockdown for a year, which has been great for like creativity, and I'm on track for probably about a release a month at the moment. So if somebody changes the date on something right now, major issues. But I didn't know about the date change, so I rang them up and I was like, "Were you going to tell me, or like, can you admit that you actually just forgot?" And I was told to watch my tone. I was like, "No, we're not going to have that conversation.
Yeah, no,
This isn't even me angry."
Exactly.
Oh my God.
I think the older I've got, the more brave I've got. I just feel, no, I'm not having that.
Yeah, that's right.
And also I've noticed other things, like women don't get called bossy, and you never hear a man. I've never heard a man be called bossy before.
No, it's strong.
It's not bossy. It's just, standing up for yourself, and we haven't really. I find a lot of women don't have so much ego. Sorry, men, we do love you, men, but a lot of guys have these egos, and they just, it's just like fighting a battle all the time. It's exhausting.
Yeah,
but, so that needs to. I think guys need to think about their egos a little bit. We all love them.
I mean, we do. We love the guys. But I think we've seen it firsthand when we've handled the email, and then when our managers handled it as a man. And the response has just been so, right, mate, cool, mate, whatever. Yeah. But when it's us, it's like, I don't know.
Like, oh, well, they're being a bit, a bit stroppy, a bit difficult.
Yeah.
No,
all right, keep your
just
knickers on,
being
kind of.
fair.
Yeah, but it is, and it's a shame because
sad.
I mean, times are changing. They are so much.
Definitely,
better.
I think.
Yeah.
But
maybe I'm just getting grumpier.
I mean, people are speaking out about it, and that's so important to have that.
It is really important,
because men are having to watch.
And also men accepting that we can do what they do as well, like with producing what we produce. And we've had men come into the studio and be like, "Oh, you're editing vocals."
Yeah.
I've got that so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. You know how to use it. Like,
honestly, I've got that so many times being in the session, and the producer films me editing the vocals because they can't believe it. So weird.
Never go.
Someone's asked a question here. How would you find out who's singing on a record if they aren't listed? Are there any web resources? I mean, you can right-click on some Spotify tracks where it shows the songwriters on the record. You can also look them up on PPL. You can also look up singers.
And it's also who sampled who. Sorry, who sampled who. That's how you can prove it's you as well. You need to put it on who sampled who, and PPL will accept that as proof. once you've proven it to who sampled who, they're people. That's how I've had to use that so many times. You make sure from, I mean, lots and lots of songs. Black Eyed Peas, Boom Boom Pow, it was on Who Sampled Who, and I got a lot of money for that, but I had to prove it first. So yeah, whosampledwho.com.
Love that, Rowetta.
Yeah.
I've got a great question here that I want to put to each one of you. And this is really positive, which would be a nice lift from what we've been talking about. Is there a favourite project or track that you guys have been a part of? We start with you, Karen.
I was hoping you weren't going to come to me first. Sorry. No, I mean, I feel like I've worked on so many songs over the past, like, since coming into the music industry, and I just feel super, super grateful that I've been able to work with so many different people and so many different kinds of music. In terms of my favorite, I don't know, man, that's really, really hard. I think one of them that springs to mind right now is a track that I did with Paul Wolford, which was a song that I did with one of my friends called Jamie Harper, who's another songwriter, and we sent it to him and he loved it. And one thing that was really nice about it is that he got us in the studio, both me and Jamie, and went through the whole thing together. We talked through the track. He would discuss the structure. He was happy just to listen. And someone of his ilk, like someone of his ability, I was surprised at how much he was open to accept outside kind of influence on his track. Because normally that doesn't happen. It's, you know, it's your head blows and stuff like that because everyone's got a different opinion and whatnot. But with this song, he was so open to it. He's like, yeah, Karen, I love that, you know, really open to everything. And the song came out and we all loved it. And I think that was like I just really enjoyed that experience because we were able to all be so open together in terms of building the song and also credited. Each of us got credited very well and everything. Yeah, so that was probably one of the good ones, I guess.
Love that. That's great. Big track. And Jenai, go for it. What was your favourite so far?
I'm gonna say You and I with Sonny Fodera, just because it was very unexpected. I didn't even know. You know when you write a song and you forget that you've done it, so then it's just out there and you're like suddenly it came back to me and gave me all of these opportunities, and I read it from a really it comes from a really beautiful place and a beautiful relationship of mine. So yeah, that's probably my favourite one, just because it's wrapped up in a lot.
I love that. I love that story. That's really nice. I quite like those ones that you write a while ago. Like Carla Monroe talks about that for 17, which happened to be MK's track. She wrote it years and years ago, and then it kind of resurfaced, and then it became a big hit. I think that's really powerful, and that's part of the writing process I love. It's just like write, feel what you feel, and if someone doesn't take it straight away, it doesn't mean that it's not of value and it's not important. It just hasn't found its place yet. Laura?
Well, I'm still a newbie, but talking of, I guess, like right place, right time, for tracks or for people, and even going back to something we were saying earlier on about how the producers contact us, and just sometimes you just have to ask. And I'm a true believer in if you don't ask, you don't get. And I feel like I'm only really here because I went to BBC Introducing a couple of years ago, the live show that happens annually, normally when we're not all locked up in our homes. And I asked after a panel event there, Stuart Knight, who co-owner of Toolroom Records, I asked him whether I could have his email address and did they have any writing camps coming up? And it turns out coincidentally that 3 weeks later Toolroom had their first ever writing camp. And I found myself in a room with the lovely ladies up here, and I wasn't even supposed to be in that room at the time as well. I think they just needed an extra singer, and I was like, I'll do it. And then I ended up sticking around for the rest of the session and helping to co-write the rest of the song. So sorry, I totally gate crashed the melody session with Mark.
No, it was a gate crash.
But in terms of, I guess just a bit of fate and a bit of timing and things happening when they were supposed to happen, that's my favorite to date, in terms of like songs that are out there. I've definitely had a few sessions, and there's some songs that I'm super excited that are coming. Yeah, I'm super excited about them. But in terms of relevant history, that's mine.
Love that. That wasn't meant to be. The universe moved. It was meant to happen.
Exactly.
Rowetta, you've been part of huge records. What has been your favourite then?
Well, obviously the a cappella that I didn't even know there was an a cappella of this Reach Out from years and years ago. So I walked in the hacienda and it was, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, so what they called, I can't remember. The first time I heard it in hacienda though, I was like, that sounds like me. And I didn't know they'd left the a cappella on. But over the years, obviously, as I said, most recently, Oliver Heldens, Black Eyed Peas, it's been on everything. B was a big hit recently with Greco. It's all the same sample, but I like all the new stuff I've done. And most recently, the game I did just before lockdown, Alexander Technique did this brilliant remix with Jay Potter, and Calvin Harris played it in Colcox. And I was like, oh my God, and it was just a big surprise, just a new tune just before lockdown. And it was like, I just couldn't believe it that these top DJs were playing this, you know, just a song that I'm writing at home. I write and record everything in my bedroom, you know, I have a studio in my bedroom. And it's just amazing that you don't need to go to these studios with these big producers always. I write the best stuff at home just because I'm so relaxed with my dogs and all that lot. So, yeah.
Sorry. Love it. Hayley May?
I mean, Sorry was great for me just because I got to do Top of the Pops, I got to do the O2. I've heard it on TV ads, which I'd never done before, football recently, like all them things. It's really special, but I didn't write it, so I always felt a little bit of a fraud. It being a cover, it was one that didn't sit right with me 100%. But I mean, I love how it was interpreted. But in terms of actually writing something that's been released, I'd say with Martin Ikin and Lee Foss, Lee had contacted me, emailed me, and asked if I'd be up for a session. He was coming over from LA, so we arranged it. He came from a flight literally from LA to London. Martin made his way to Martin's house, which is like West London. Then we drove to Reading, so he didn't sleep for like, I don't know what, a day probably. He was shattered. And then we did 8 hours in the studio, so he powered through like a soldier. And we wrote Gravity, which came out on Repopulate Mars, which is Lee's label. And I got so much good feedback from radio. The streaming was good, but the actual feedback from other DJs and other producers was so strong. And obviously them two are both such legends in the whole like dance scene. They're just like such legends. So to be with them and write with them from scratch together, that was such a good experience, definitely.
Amazing. Love that. And Melody Men?
It's kind of like Karen. We've been part of so many different songs, and
it's really hard
to say. But
we love Mason. We love working with because he's bonkers.
Yeah, he's a Dutch producer.
He's great,
and he released one of our first.
We did our first track with him actually.
And that was quite
I think you might go see a rhino on the top there. I bought that from a charity shop because the song we did with him was the Rhino. And I just walked into the charity shop and saw it.
And there's a track called Dance Shake Move, which was done really, really well. It was featured on the Boots advert.
Boots and Colgate.
Vodafone and Colgate. And some stuff is done with Tough Love.
But we're doing our own production now, and that's what we're really enjoying. We're working with Nadia Rose.
Yeah, we're kind of doing a fusion of dance, hip hop, dance, R&B, just our own sound, and being quite free and fearless.
And that's really exciting for us.
So it's quite an organic. But there's loads of songs. Obviously, the song we've done with Toolroom, we're on the Toolroom stream, so we've got to say Toolroom.
It's difficult.
But yeah, we did love the Toolroom, If It's Love, and it came out. We wrote it before COVID, and it came out as such a positive and gave so much light and positivity. There's so many people made the videos, the little quirky videos that were coming out as well. Just were absolutely, and we just did that, you know, but we just having a good time, a good session. Like Laura was there, it was great. And then it just became this massive thing. So yeah, so much goodness came out of that track as well. But we're just on a journey, you know.
We only work with really happy people that are really nice and we like.
Yeah.
We really enjoy.
Yeah.
The vibes and the energy has to be good in the room.
Yeah.
So we're going to be wrapping up. I'll quickly say what my favourite record is. I'm just going to use it as a plug. My brand new single, You Don't Know Me, on my label. My current favourite record. And thank you all to the amazing women on this panel. Like I said, just shy of 6 million monthly listeners are in this room right now. So for anyone watching, I think the key takeaways from this chat is have respect. When you work with someone, communication is key. There is no completely black and white way of doing things, but just make sure the vibe is right, the energy is good, respect each other, and so it's great to be in this room with you all today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can find everyone on their Instagrams and everything, so go and find these artists and listen to their music.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melody.
Thank you.